This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-electric Prologue SUV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the generous passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
By the time you're finished listening to this Pepsi Zero Sugar, you'll be 15 seconds closer to kickoff. Stock up now. Bengals game day is so close, you can almost taste it. Bengals watching. Better with Pepsi.
70,000 people are here, and Bob Dylan is the reason for it.
Inspired by the true story.
If anyone is going to hold your attention on stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
Are you a freak?
Hope so.
And starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. He defied everyone.
Turn it down!
Play loud!
To change everything.
Make some noise, BD.
Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro. A complete unknown. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated R. Under 17 and admitted without parent.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Transfer Committee podcast here on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Harry Sethi, and with the festive fixture schedule well underway and the top of the table Reds gradually getting injured stars back for the packed schedule ahead, it's that time of year again where we turn our heads towards what transfer business we think Liverpool should be doing in the January window, which exciting new stars should be arriving at Anfield, and which players, if any, perhaps, are surplus to requirements. And as ever on the show, I'm joined by my illustrious committee from an air-conditioned room near you, welcoming back Mr. Dan Kennett as our data guru running the numbers on the recommendations of our chief scout, Mr. Dave Hendrick, and Mr. Mo Chatra to bring us down to earth with talk of wages and transfer fees and the like. As a heads up to all listeners, on this pod, we're going to be acting under the presumption that Trent, Virgil, and one Mo Salah all give us a timely Christmas present by announcing their intention to extend their contracts. This meaning we won't be factoring in contingencies for their positions, but we will be taking into account the impact this may have on the funds available to spend. And on this edition of the pod, we'll be touching upon three key areas as we see them, that of left back, defensive midfield, and striker. Welcome, committee.
Evening, Harry.
Hello, how are we?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, doing well. Had a nice warm up there ahead of the pod where we just chatted through our thoughts on a club from North London, just to get us warmed up, just to get us primed for what's ahead, obviously. Let's start things off straight away.
There's some light relief there.
Yeah, exactly, some light relief. And let's get started straight away with left backs. And let me just pull up my list here. 1 second. Not the greatest radio. So if anyone wants to talk whilst I get this up, feel free.
Yeah, so with left back, obviously, there's a couple of considerations here. Like, what type of left back does Arne Slot want? Obviously, in his time with Feyenoord, he played with a very attacking left back, but that was counterbalanced by a defensive centre-back profile right back. Now, at Liverpool, we've got Trent at right back, and Robbo and Costas have been playing left back, but neither have really been playing it in the same way that Hartman played it at Feyenoord. He has altered things, so we're seeing a bit more of a conservative approach on both sides, because Trent is not playing maybe as high and wide as he did in his early days. He's certainly not wandering about in midfield as much as he did in his latter days under Jurgen Klopp. So I suppose there is the consideration then of, do we want the traditional left back, or do we want that more kind of Josko Gvardiol, Ricardo Calafiori type? So we've got a bunch of both to go through. So I can run through them now if you wish.
Yeah, kick us off.
Right. So we'll start with your more, I suppose, traditional right backs. And we'll start close to home in the Premier League. Milos Kerkez of Bournemouth, a player that Richard Hughes was involved in the signing of while at Bournemouth, a player that it's been said that Arne Slot, when he was at AZ Alkmaar, was involved in their scouting of him while he was at AC Milan. Arne obviously left before they signed him, but he would have been involved in the kind of identification process back then. At 21, 5'11", good physical build. He's quick. He's quite straightforward. Like, there's nothing really fancy with him. He's quick up and down. He's not a mazy dribbler. He doesn't have a wide array of crosses, but he's very effective at what he does. He shows good potential on the defensive side with his physicality and his speed, but there's definitely area for improvement there in terms of focus, positioning, all of which is natural for a 21-year-old. The other Premier League-based one would be Rayan Aït-Nouri of Wolves, 23 years of age, someone that has been on this list many, many times over the years, dating back to when he was at Angers. I think he's developed into one of the best left backs in the league. Obviously, he can play as a wing back as well, but we're looking for a full back. As a passer, he's got, great ability. He's a fantastic dribbler. He's a good crosser of the ball. He offers something of a goal threat, which Kerkez as yet has not shown. He's got 3 goals already in the league this season. Now, if you're playing him as a fullback rather than a wing back, maybe he's not getting into those positions, but it does show an ability to adapt. Then we move to Spain for Miguel Gutierrez, who is at Girona. We played against him recently. He played left wing more so in that game than left back. A Real Madrid Academy graduate. He's been at Girona now for 2.5 years, vital part of their rise and their qualification for the Champions League last season, well, into this season. I think a really good all-round left back, but definitely work to do defensively as well. Next up then is Juan Miranda, who was a suggestion of Karl Matchett. Not quite as attack-minded as the other 3, but not quite a centre-back, kind of a well-rounded left-back. He's at Bologna, only joined in the summer, so it may well be that they're not overly keen to do business, but I'm sure if you showed them a big enough bag of money, they'd be open to doing something. He's a Barcelona Academy graduate, so he's been well-schooled, he's going to be technically sound, he'll be fundamentally solid. He's a very talented player. At 24, he's kind of a ready-made option in the similar way to Gutierrez at 23 and Aït-Nouri at 23. Then we start to look at the more centre-back profiles here. Piero Hincapié, a player that we were very keen on the last time we did this, an outstanding 1v1 defender, offers good versatility, centre-back, left-back, wing-back, could play in midfield if you needed him to. 22 years of age, good aggressive defender, which I like, and I think would bring something different, a physicality to our team that we do lack at times. Up next then is Castello Lakeba, another player that we've talked about before at RB Leipzig. Now, he's likely the most expensive player on this list. He just turned 22 the day before yesterday. I believe he has a £65 million buyout clause, or €65 million buyout clause maybe, but a very high upside player. Like, in terms of all-round talent, he's probably got the biggest upside here, but he's also going to be the biggest gamble because of the price. And then the youngest of the lot is Jorel Hato of Ajax. Now, he is only 18, does not turn 19 until March. But despite his young years, he's played 87 times for the Ajax first team. This is his 3rd season in the squad, his 2nd season as a first-choice starter already. He has 5 caps for the Netherlands. He's a really good passer. I've seen some people say, oh, we could buy him. He could be cover at left back. He could be a Virgil successor at centre back. He's never going to be big enough to be a Liverpool centre back. He's 6 foot and slender. He's never going to be a Liverpool centre back while Michael Edwards is making decisions at the club, because Michael Edwards likes him big, likes him strong, and likes him to dominate in the air, which Hato doesn't do. But as a passer from left back, he has very special potential. Has he stopped growing yet? Maybe not, but ultimately it's unlikely he grows to be 6'3", 6'4" between now and when he stops growing in a year or two. But the potential is very appealing as a left back. So that's our list. Kirkes, Aït-Nouri, Gutierrez, Miranda, Hincapié, Castello, Lekeba, and Hato.
Yeah, a lot to consider there. And Dan, if I was to bring you in to tell us a little bit about whether any of these players stand out with the numbers or what stands out about them.
Absolutely. So first of all, on Miranda, Dave, was he the Calafiori replacement at Bologna after he left?
No, because Calafiori played centre-back there, so
okay.
he's gone there and played left-back.
Okay. Okay, so first thing to note is that all these players have very good injury histories, which means a lack of injuries. The only one who has anything really like that would approach any kind of concern is Lekeba, who's missed 7 games this season so far in this current season. But he was completely clean last year. Hincapié's missed 2 games, 3.5 years. Gutierrez, Kirkes has had nothing ever, and neither's Hato yet either. So all very, very strong injury records on these players. Let's start with the 2 domestic ones. So the biggest attraction with Kirkes is that he plays Bournemouth are pretty much the league's most intense team. They're the physical, but they're the team which are most likely to overpower you just through the sheer volume where they're running and they're sprinting. And Kirkes is one of their best players for that, along with Semenyo. So that is an outstanding attribute to have in the Premier League. However, some of his numbers are what you might expect of a 21-year-old. There's not that much that really stands out about his numbers yet, and some of it is actually looking a little bit iffy, particularly on the passing. His standouts are, as Dave already mentioned, is his 1v1 defending is pretty good already. He's extremely bad in the air, downright bad aerially, and his passing looks a little bit suspect. So how you would be feeding those balls in from the fullback into the 6s and the 8s, I'm not sure. That would be a better question. So Aït-Nouri, obviously the biggest problem with Aït-Nouri is that he plays in quite a defensive team, which is not really the kind of person that we profile. Usually we don't profile players who are similar styles to our own, which is why Kirkes is quite appealing, because he plays in quite a pressing-based team. But Aït-Nouri does have much better numbers across the board than Kirkes. He does get his fair share of actual production in terms of chances created, especially and assists, even the odd goal. His passing's okay, and he's okay 1v1. His biggest strength remains his dribbling and his take-ons against opposition players, which are stand out good for him. Again, he's the best on this list in terms of, and there are some good ones. There's some good competition in terms of dribbling, but again, he's quite weak in the air aerially, even compared to other fullbacks. On Gutierrez, right? If I just said, right, which position does this player play? I would have said, are we sure he's a fullback? Are we sure this isn't just a big lie? Because he looks like a winger to me. His output is good, his passing is good, and his dribbling and his carries are good. But his defensive work, his off ball, and his aerial stuff are just appalling numbers. How that would translate to the Premier League, I don't know, Harry. But he looks more like a winger, somebody you'd be buying for the front three, to be honest.
Real Madrid thought that as well when they let him go a couple of years ago.
Did they?
They thought he was a winger, but he wasn't good enough to be a winger for them, so they let him go. And Girona put him in at left back, but it is very much like the other three defenders are defenders, so his bomb was on, and they kind of shift across to cover.
Whether that works with Bradley or Trent on the other side, I'm not sure. But yes, Miranda is an interesting one. Again, he's bomb-proof injury. He's the oldest on this list. He's 24. He's also the tallest, which is always attractive. He's 185. Good production, okay passing abilities. His best ability is actually his aerials, because he's obviously the tallest on this list as well. He's not really, as Dave's already said, he's not the most attacking. His dribbling and carries are low, but that kind of leads us on to the other style of player on this list, which is the more tucking in, stay-at-home defender on the left-hand side. So Lukeba, I was surprised when Dave said he would be the most expensive on the list, because I thought it'd be Hincapie, but yeah, he's outstanding, absolutely outstanding 1v1 on the defensive side, which is really good. He's the best on this list in terms of 1v1s, and his passing is also good. He's surprisingly poor aerially, which I thought he would be better looking at the data, but no. And he's a non-factor in terms of any, He wouldn't be chipping in with. He's more like Joe Gomez, I think, in terms of his actual productivity style of thing. But his passing is good as well. The best all rounder by a long way on the list is Piero Hincapie. He's still only 22. I mean, I think he's been on this show about 4 times now.
Ever since we realized Robbo was washed, he's been on all the lists.
Yeah. And he's 1.84 m, so he's a good height. He is very physical. He's basically got no weak points in the data. He's good at everything. The only thing he's moderate at is aerials, but he's still okay on those. But otherwise, he's good 1v1. He's good defensively. He's good passing. He's got good production, and he's got good dribbling, good carries. And so, what I would say is, Harry, is one of the things that the principles we always use in the data department is where you need to spend most of your budget is on the weakest position in your starting 11. And if we ranked all our starting positions in which we've got, I think we'd all agree that the left back position is a level below every other position on the pitch in terms of which is the weakest position relative to everything else. So we should probably be looking to spend a good chunk of our budget to upgrade our left back, because that would probably give us the biggest immediate on-pitch improvement. Now, I need to finish off by talking about Jarell Hatto, because when Dave said, look at this 18-year-old from the Eredivisie, I thought this was like Dave just going all hipster on me, because I don't watch the Eredivisie. I don't know anything about Jarell.
Don't blame me, it's dreadful.
But when you look at him, right, and you say that, okay, he's 18 years old and he's already made 62 starts for Ajax, and I know there's the Eredivisie tax, I know we always talk about this. So I basically asked Patrick on Discord, our Netherlands correspondent. He's a Feyenoord fan, but he will watch Ajax, and he did say to me that where I'm just finding his messages now. So when he broke through at Ajax, they were a really bad team, and they had a really bad manager, and he played at centre back, and he played a lot of games, and he didn't look very good. But apparently this season they have a much better coach, and he's moved Hatto to the left back there, and he looks very good, especially in possession. He's got good passing and a first touch. He looks like because he's from the Ajax system, he'll be able to play those interior balls to the centre mids. But he's got improvements to make defensively, but he's 18 years old. But he's a bit similar to Gravenberch in that he was playing for Ajax at 16, and obviously there are benefits to coming through the Ajax system as well, because you do as a kid there, you do get to play pretty much all positions as part of your development. So yeah, it's quite interesting once you actually look at him, what he's got. Hatto, I mean, you obviously wouldn't be getting rid of anybody if you're bringing in Hatto now. He's more kind of supplementing what you've already got, probably, Harry. You'd probably be able to bring him in and, okay, he'd strengthen the centre-back rotation for now, and he'd be a left-back rotation option for now as well, which, we might not need to, whereas if you're getting Hincapie in, you probably have to move on one of the left-backs immediately, for example.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
The #1 selling product of its kind with over 20 years of research and innovation. Botox Cosmetic, onabotulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
The other benefit with Hato, if you buy him in January, he will count as a homegrown player when he reaches the age to become said homegrown or non-homegrown player. As quickly, he's still only 18.
That's crazy. But yeah, that's a benefit, definitely. Okay, so there's your left back. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for that lowdown. Thanks for the data on all of them. Brief reminder there, as on the previous pod, I did go with the romantic choice of one injured Calafiore. So I'm gonna bear that in mind as well this time. And Mo, I'll bring you in to detail some of these players, what we might expect to have to fork out for these players. Whether Lukeba, as Dave mentioned, is the priciest one on the list in your opinion, and then also a little bit, I guess, about wages as well to factor in, and the available budget. What is the available budget, Mo?
Okay, so as you'll recall, in the summer of 23, we were in a position financially to spend some 150 million on a player that ended up at Chelsea in Caicedo, and that was a signal of intent from the ownership at last that they were willing to spend big for the right player. And those funds were not really spent. Only a fraction of it was spent with money going towards Endo. So we then fast forward a year to summer 24. And obviously,
one thing I would say, Mo, just to interrupt you in your flow there, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here. That fee that we were thinking about sanctioning for Juan Caicedo, that was the previous administration. Am I not wrong in terms of sort of those in charge of footballing matters for the club? Or at that stage,
yes,
you're
right.
I wasn't in position, is all I'm saying, and so I'm not sure. We have to factor in whether or not I'm going to be sanctioning £120 million transfers in the future. Just something to bear in mind. But yeah, I'll let you keep going.
Yeah. No, and hopefully you will be just as open to spending big on the right players. Anyway, so the point being, we didn't spend those available funds in the summer of 24. And in the meantime, we've gone into a season which will bring in considerably more Champions League money. And, we're on course to rake in more from the Premier League. And as well as that, our income from commercial is set to hit record-breaking levels. So we are on target for our biggest ever year financially. So therefore, the budget for this time being is 180 million. That said, we have now secured agreements yet to be announced for Virgil, for Mo, and for Trent. So we can knock off £20 million to get those deals done, in between bumping up their pay and also keeping their agent sweet. So we then come down to 160 million. So that is the budget that we have to play with. Getting on to the valuations of the players. So let's start with our old favourite, Ait Nouri. So he obviously is somebody we've had an eye on and off for a number of years. And he is a player whose contract is into its last 18 months, but Wolves have the option of extending it by a further year. He is the player who has the highest wages. He has renewed, I think, if not twice, and certainly once with Wolves. So he has the highest wages. He's also represented by George Mendes. So when it comes to agents' fees, we're not talking small beer. So it would be an expensive deal in that regard. The fee I value at 35 million. So it has been slightly higher in the past, but that is the figure for him. And he is still only 23. Hincapié is a player who rates slightly higher fee-wise, though his wages would be lower. He isn't on the kind of wages that like Nuri is at Wolves. And also he is represented by another agency heavyweight in AS1 who represent the likes of Aaron Luis Diaz and Caicedo, Bruno Fernandes. So again, high agents fees, low wages, but the transfer fee would be slightly higher than that, Nuri, at about £40 million. We are looking at the same figure of 40 million for Kerkez. And obviously he's only 21, just been breaking through in the last year or two. However, with Bournemouth, that they are doing well, and they are becoming a bit shrewder, extracting good value for fees in the way that their friends along the south coast at Brighton are and have been in the last 2-3 years. So we would expect to see 40 million for that deal. Wages wise, we would expect him to come in at a lesser amount than somebody like Nate Nuri as well. Miranda is a player who you would outwardly think at a club like Bologna would be considerably cheaper. However, Barcelona built in a 40% sell-on clause for that deal. And as we also know, Bologna in the last 12 months have sold a couple of players for very handsome fees in Calafiori and Zexi. So we would expect to pay around 35 million. Had it not been for that big Barca clause, that fee would have been considerably lower. Gutierrez, we'd be looking at slightly lower at £29 million. That is the release clause. I think that is the release clause for him. And Real Madrid have a clause as well where they have first refusal on any offer that comes in. He's also represented by Wasserman, so another player represented by a very big agency. Wages-wise, he would be on the lower side. Lukeba, Davies Wright, he would be the most expensive from a fee perspective. He has a release clause reported at 90 million euros, which is approximately 75 million pound, give or take £1 million or two. However, we do have a relationship with Leipzig, further strengthened by Mr. Klopp heading into the Red Bull Group in the last few months. So I think that a deal can be had for considerably lower than that 75 million, somewhere in the region of 55 to 60 million should be enough. So less than the release clause, but still by some way the most expensive of the players thus far. And then Haho is a player who's obviously only 18, a teenager, but very highly regarded, as Dave touched upon. So this is a player that has a contract through till June 28th, but we would expect to see a deal in the region of about 25 million to secure one of the highest rated teenage left backs in world football.
So just run through the final fees for all of those players again, Mo, just so I got it.
Okay, so Nuri at 35, Hincapi at 40, the same 40 for Kerkez, Miranda at 35 million, Gutierrez 29, Lekeba, let's call it 60 million, and Hato at 25.
Right, so that's the look at the finances. So we've got all the candidates out there now. We've had the numbers on those players, and then then the numbers in terms of finance as well. I think we'll do a similar thing to last time, actually, where I'll keep my cards close to my chest until the end, once we've gone through each position, so we can see the various levels of excitement. So now I think let's move on to defensive midfield, Dave.
Yeah. So defensive midfield, then we have 6 options. One of whom I will say I'm not hugely sold on. He is a Karl Matchett suggestion. So we'll start with him. That is Morten Frendrup of Genoa. 23-year-old Danish midfielder, can also play as a right back. He's a good player. I think he's got a limit on where his ceiling is. But what he would offer you is more of a situational type player where he doesn't have to be in the team every week. So if you were just looking for an Endo replacement who could come in, play 1 out of every 3 or 4 games, and then be an option late in games off the bench, Morten Frendrup would be your man for that. Moving in then to the higher end. So the obvious place to start is with the guy we spent all the last summer trying to sign, Martin Zubimendi. It appears that perhaps his fetish for mountains has somewhat subsided and that he is now open to leaving in January, perhaps regretting the decision to give his word to us and then turn his back on it. He'll be 26 on the 2nd of February, so he is kind of entering his prime years, but he's still right in that squad sweet spot of 24 to 28, where you want to have most of your players if possible. We know what he's about. He is a controller. He is someone that sets a tone and a tempo for your team, sets the table for others to go and play. Highly intelligent player, rarely makes a wrong decision. Good but not great defensively, clever, good positionally, doesn't have the most physical approach to the game, but that's absolutely fine. He makes up for it in other ways. We've seen him dominate games at the highest level when he came onto the pitch in the Euros final and was arguably the best player on the pitch as Spain beat England. Then there's Carlos Baliba, who will turn 21 in January. We didn't get Caicedo. They bought this fella to replace Caicedo. Perhaps had we not been Sans sporting director at the time and actually listening to the smart people in the room, we might have looked at him, because as a general principle, if Brighton like somebody, it's probably a good idea to have a look at why, because they rarely miss. I think he's gotten better and better every single week since he went to Brighton. Last season, he was in and out of the team. Obviously, they were being very careful with him. It was a lot of sub-appearances, not too many starts. He made his first start against us in a 2-2 draw and was the best player on the pitch. And he has continued to get better. And he offers good passing, really good ball carrying. He is super physical. He's strong as an ox. He's clever. He's got areas to improve on defensively, obviously, as any 20-year-old would have. But the upside with him is absolutely enormous. The one downside is, of course, that he would, as a Cameroonian, be away at AFCON every second year. Another player that we tried very hard to sign, Aurelien Tchouameni, who turns 25 in January. Now, reports in Spain suggest that Real are open to selling, that they are interested in Martin Zubimendi, who they would like to bring in as a Toni Kroos type of replacement, and that because they have Camavinga and Valverde and Jude Bellingham, they feel they don't need to keep Aurelien Tchouameni. Now, whether or not any of that's true, we don't know. We have no way of knowing. The Spanish media, as we're aware, is not exactly the most honest of media collectives in Europe. But we know what this guy's all about. Super physical, aggressive, good ball winner, really good shield, protects his defense very well, and he's good on the ball. He might not be Toni Kroos on the ball, but he's a very good progressive passer who makes good decisions. One that I was very high on in the summer, and I'm still very high on because he's having a great season for Porto, is Alan Varela, who I think ticks pretty much every box. He is super physical, he's aggressive, he's outstanding defensively, he can dominate a midfield, and he's good on the ball. He's not a flashy player on the ball, but he's a really clever passer. His ability to play balls into channels and over the top for pacey wingers is something that I think would benefit our team. So I'd absolutely be in favour of him.
How old is he?
He is, I think, 24 at his next birthday. Alan Varela.
Okay, he's 23 at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be 24 next summer in July. And then the final one is Lamine Camara. Now, he's not an out-and-out defensive midfielder, but he can play there. He's more of a central midfielder who can play as a defensive midfielder. But this is like, for me, this is the ultimate upside move. Now, he did only join Monaco in the summer for 15 million euro, but I think given the nature of that club, they would take a quick profit if it was offered to them. This guy, for me, could be the player we thought we were getting with Naby. A do-everything type of midfielder with more physicality than Naby. Now, he's listed at 5'8". He is taller than that. He's very strong. He's good at everything. There isn't really an area of his game, maybe aerials, Dan, I'll get into that. But there isn't really an area of his game where I look at it and think he's out of his depth here. This guy is good at everything. He can play 6, he can play 8, he can play 10. If you need him to play right back, he can play there. He's done a shift at centre back before. He can play on the right wing. This is an absolutely exceptional prospect who, the first time I saw him, I thought Lothar Matthäus. And every time I've watched him since, I've thought the same thing. Now, Lothar is the greatest midfielder of all time. I'm not saying he becomes that. But that level of being good at everything, being able to physically dominate a game and then technically dominate a game, while also having outstanding fundamentals, outstanding reading of the game, outstanding anticipation. Lamine Camara is a special, special player. The two knocks on him, he's not the tallest, but he is taller than the 5'8" that's listed. And AFCON, because obviously he is a Senegalese international.
Yeah, he's
also excellent on set pieces. He is an elite free kick take, not a shooter, but a crosser from set pieces. He's elite.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Experience holiday cheer at Tanger Outlets with savings up to 70% off your favorite brands. From fragrances to accessories and the latest styles, discover the best gifts for everyone on your list. Save big at Nike Factory Store, Michael Kors, Under Armour, Coach, Polo Ralph Lauren, Kate Spade New York, and so many more. Unwrap the best at Tanger Outlets. Hundreds of brands, endless gifting options. Plan your trip at Tanger.com. Experience holiday cheer at Tanger Outlets with savings up to 70% off your favorite brands. From fragrances to accessories and the latest styles, discover the best gifts for everyone on your list. Save big at Nike Factory Store, Michael Kors, Under Armour, Coach, Polo Ralph Lauren, Kate Spade New York, and so many more. Unwrap the best at Tanger Outlets. Hundreds of brands, endless gifting options. Plan your trip at Tanger.com.